Welcome back to the IBJ podcast. I'm Mason King, news editor for the Indianapolis Business Journal. Our themes today are reclamation and rebirth. And our subject is Maria Bertram, the owner of Pia Urban Cafe and Market in the Englewood Village neighborhood on the Near East Side. 4 years ago, Maria was a project management engineer for your local Fortune 500 pharmaceutical firm, Eli Lilly and Co. And then things got interesting for her and her boyfriend.
We got married, had a baby, and opened a coffee shop. So all that just came out. When you wish it comes out at the same time. So I have a 2-year coffee shop and then 19-month baby.
If it's not obvious there, she also quit her job at Lilly. Running Pia's Urban Cafe, Maria now sells coffee and cooks food. But her goal is to be a catalyst. In leaving Lilly, Maria took on 2 very closely related missions, helping drive the revival of the struggling Englewood neighborhood while helping women who had reached absolute bottom take crucial steps towards independence and building new lives. So, follow me as we leave IBJ's offices downtown and drive east on Washington Street. Now, there's a lot of reason for optimism out here. We passed the Anzies List campus, which recently was purchased with plans for redevelopment, and the old Ford assembly plant, which is being renovated for apartments. And a little farther up the street, we hit Englewood Village, the home of a historic library commissioned by the Andrew Carnegie Foundation in 1909, which just underwent a $2.4 million renovation. There's the new Oxford Place Senior Apartments development, and then the vacant P.R. Mallory factory, which soon will be the home of Purdue Polytechnic High School. And in the midst of this neighborhood's upswing, in a small 1-story streetfront building along Washington, is Pia Urban Cafe. That's the sizzle of a Cuban sandwich on one of the small grills behind the counter. There are just 5 hot sandwiches on the blackboard to the left, some bakery goods, a breakfast special, some other morning items, and lots of coffee drinks made with beans from Maria's native Puerto Rico. She grew up on the island, and in high school discovered she loved numbers.
Actually, I have a lot of accountants in my family, and my dad owned a business as well in Puerto Rico. So I knew a lot about growing up about business ownership and accounting. So I told my dad, it's all relative, it's all about numbers, right? So whether I go to engineering or accounting or finances, I really liked economics and finances, but I ended up engineering. But I think it was more of the construction part of I think analytical part of me that really enjoy it, but I could have been an accountant, I think. As for my dad, he thought maybe I could have been an accountant, but...
She received a degree in engineering and immediately secured a job with Lilly, which operates manufacturing facilities on the island. She transferred to Virginia in the early 2000s, earned an MBA, and then transferred in 2005 to Lilly's operations in Indianapolis, where she specialized in project management.
So at what point did you realize or kind of get it in your head to do something different? How did that go?
Yes. I think, when people ask me about this is completely different about what you used to do at Lilly, sitting in front of a computer and leading a team and making sure your budget was accurate and looking over and that you were on time to deliver your budget and project. I feel like all that is actually very similar to what I do here in a different scale, of course. I used to manage multi-million projects, and this one doesn't even get closer to be 6 figures, but I love my culture. I love Puerto Rico. I wanted to bring a little bit of Puerto Rico here. I wanted to introduce our coffee, and I said, what if, how about in creating jobs as well, we open a coffee shop. And the idea doesn't necessarily came about like, oh yeah, one day I wake up and I wanted to be a coffee shop owner. It was more about creating jobs.
While in Indy, Maria developed a strong interest in doing service work, both through her church and her job. And she became involved with several groups dedicated to helping women who were homeless or faced similar obstacles to independence. And in 2014, she was in charge of the Lilly Day of Service, the company-wide day of volunteer work. It is a big job. And at that point, though, she already was beginning to think about how she could devote more of her time and resources to helping others with some kind of side project that eventually would become the cafe. She landed on the Englewood neighborhood. The area also was becoming the focus of, or one of the focuses, of the Great Places Project, organized by the Indianapolis office of the not-for-profit Local Initiative Support Corporation.
Great Places 2020 is the idea that we could create in Indianapolis 5 strategically located centers of commerce, culture, and community as a way to celebrate the bicentennial of Indianapolis.
This is Ted Grain. He's the deputy director of the local LISC office.
Couldn't we celebrate that by investing in the neighborhoods where that history was built? Neighborhoods like Englewood Village. It's a formerly bustling industrial neighborhood. At one point, the Mallory plant there, which was where the Duracell battery was invented, employed over 1,500 people. And a neighborhood grew up around that industry and around that job center.
So what is the value of having someone like Maria open a small place to get sandwiches?
It's so valuable. So each Great Place, the idea is that it's the neighborhood's town center. You know, the place where you're going to go do your shopping, maybe bank, maybe get your mail, and hopefully do other things, like maybe there are jobs there, and maybe there's a bar there that you hang out with and you get entertainment with your friends. A key component of every town center is a place to hang out. A third place. Maria has done that for Englewood. It's a place to hang out. It's a place to meet folks that are from your neighborhood, meet your neighbors. And it's critical that she's doing that in a spot that didn't have that before.
Maria felt like she had found the right place.
There's an amazing vibe and feeling and camaraderie among the individuals that live in this neighborhood. And it is so strong that I told the leaders of this community, I said, I want to be part of that. I want to be part of that because there's nothing better than you feel that you're part of these individuals that wanted to make this place great again.
It didn't happen quickly, though. The project took about 2 years to get off the ground. And as she worked on designing and developing the cafe, she covered the startup costs, which ended up being about $60,000 with her salary from her day job at Lilly. But she knew she would have to quit eventually in order to run this new business full time.
Okay, so what was that conversation like with your husband?
At that point, I'm also a newlywed too. So I knew my husband through our church, and he was really also involved in the life of the marginalized men, as I was with the marginalized women. So we got to get to know each other through serving our community. So I think I was not speaking in a different language when I said, this is my dream and this is what I wanted to do, and it's happening and it's coming really fast. And he said, Maria, I think he said, I admire what you're doing. I would like to support you. Let's talk about this.
Maria resigned from Lilly in April 2016 and opened Pia Urban Cafe in the same month. Pia is a nickname, by the way. After several months of getting a sense of the flow of running the place, she began to think about how she could bring women who needed help getting back on their feet into the cafe as employees.
From what I wanted out of my role here was, do that discipleship part. So that was very important for me. So I wanted to make myself available for the women that come from the shelter. The job readiness too, how do we develop this individual to gather the necessary skill sets to go out and find a better job.
For the most part, Maria has worked through the Wheeler Mission and its Higher Ground program, designed to give intensive counseling and life skills training for women struggling with substance abuse and other major obstacles.
I had a horrible car accident one night where I had hit a telephone pole, snapped it in half, rolled the car over, and I climbed out the driver's side window without a scratch. And so from that point, I also decided that I didn't want my children to go to my funeral because of my drug use.
That's Chelsea Terry, a mother of 4 who was addicted to meth and spice. She graduated from the Higher Ground program in September of 2017, and within 10 days was working at the cafe.
I've loved this ever since I've been here, just because I've never been completely independent, and doing it all on my own with, me and my kids. And so that, sense of encouragement and everything or empowerment, however you want to say it, I just, was super thankful for every moment of it. It's transformed the whole, giving me back my independence, that part of it, the whole, I'm a single mom with 4 kids. I'm doing it all on my own by working here. Yeah. I mean, of course, I get a little bit of child support, but that's never guaranteed. So, but I mean, so she's helped me regain that confidence in myself that, no matter what, as long as I keep my head up, I can do this. I can be the mother that my children deserve.
Not every employee works out like this. Out of the 5 or 6 women in transition that Maria has hired, only Chelsea and an earlier employee who eventually did go on to a better job stand out in her mind as successes. Now, some start, but have trouble committing to a regular schedule, or they just fall off the map.
When you try to measure in your head, well, has this been successful? I mean, you've had 1 home run, and you've got another one in the works. Is that enough? Do you feel like you've set out what you meant to do? Or is it just continually a process?
Yeah, and I think both. I feel like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing here. And that's what, for me, is a very clear message for me. I mean, this is what I meant to do here, the reason why we are in this neighborhood, the reason why there is a desire in my heart to do this. There is no doubt about that. What I think it is a continuous process is the operation of the coffee shop. I want to stay open for a very long time. I wanted to be here a 10-year mark, right? So what do I need to do to stay open, right? So it's a day-to-day myself getting involved, looking for ways to bring more people in, being the best cheerleader for the organization that's behind all the redevelopment in the area, being that ambassador of what the community is doing, and be the best encouraging and cheerleader to the women that I work with side by side. And if I can impact the life of one individual, that's success to me. But at the same time, it's a hard work. It has been a very hard work, and days where I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, is this truly happening? And how long am I going to be here? Those thoughts that come in and out. What else do I need to do? What's next? And at the time, you realize that it's happening. It's already happening. We open the doors. We are on it. It's a matter of being persistent, determined, being reliant, and get going. Yeah, it's very focused. You have to be committed, and that's where I think we're making it. We're not there yet, but I think we are getting there. Yeah.
Do you ever think back? Man, I wish I was back at Lilly.
I like my freedom. I just love to create. I love it. I don't regret any of it.
For you aspiring restaurateurs out there, Maria says Pia Urban Cafe is close to breaking even, as little as another $100 per month in sales. Her goal for the rest of the year is to reach about $6,000 per month in sales. You can read more about Maria's work with women in transition in this week's edition of the IBJ. It's the Q&A feature just inside the front cover. Some of our big stories in this issue include plans for a long-time vacant lot on Pennsylvania Street in the heart of downtown. Scott Olson has details on the $15 million project and explains why it took so long to develop this prime parcel. And in our focus section, Haley Colombo explores the frustrations felt by some Indiana teachers and whether they might follow the lead of striking teachers in several states across the country. And of course, you can check all this out online at IBJ.com. Hey, thanks for checking out the podcast this week. We'll be back next Monday with more of the people and projects that make Central Indiana such a compelling place to live and work. It's Mason King. Talk to you later.